First of all, thank you so much, Mr. Palak, for joining us at GIS on today's amazing topic, I would say. Right, so welcome once again, and a very good evening to ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome, a warm welcome to all the participants who have been joined today with us. And today's keynote speaker is Ms. Palak Khanna, and the topic for today is getting started with social entrepreneurship. I'm Professor Sameep Bansal from GIGS Business School, Bangalore. And before we begin, please allow me to share a few insights about GIGS Business School, Bangalore. GIGS Business School, Bangalore is managed by Gold Educational Trust, is a prestigious institution in Bangalore, offering AICTE-approved PGDM program and BBA from Bangalore University. Our faculty emphasizes mentorship and practical learning, preparing students for industry through programs such as GIDS Finishing School, GIDS IRE School, and with a strong track record of placements in top-notch companies and ensures a bright career prospects. At GIDS, we foster innovation, research, and entrepreneurship. Our mission is to empower individuals for professional as well as personal growth, developing their leadership skills and facilitating their networking opportunities. And today it's my honor to introduce Ms. Palak Khanna. Ms. Palak Khanna is a remarkable 20 years old change maker hailing from India, embodies a true force for positive change in the world. She has garnered recognition and accolades that speak volume about her dedication to making a difference. Notably, Palak holds a world record and has celebrated over Business World's Well-Being 30 Under 30 and India's 20 Under 20, showcasing her exceptional achievements and potential. She's also speaker at Josh Talk and many more other talk shows, and she's also been showcased on a lot of podcasts on various platforms. She has been served as a former regional officer for Asia Pacific, showcasing her leadership skills on a global stage. With a substantial online presence, Ms. Palak is a LinkedIn content creator with over substantial followers of 68,000 supporters. That's really amazing, I would say, Ms. Palak. Congratulations for that. And at the heart of her mission lies between the company called as Break the Ice, an international youth organization she founded, which actively works to dismantle taboos and stigmas prevalent in the society. The organization reach is profound and touching the lives of more than 25 plus thousand individuals across 10 plus countries and still counting. Ms. Palak Khanna is an exemplary young leader whose unwavering dedication to social entrepreneurship and environmentalism continues to inspire and drive positivity change worldwide. Palak, if I go on reading on your profile, I think I have another couple of pages to read on. So please pardon me cutting it short. So let's welcome Ms. Palak. One small announcement I would like to make it here. All the participants, in case if you have any doubts, any queries, anything which you would love to know from Palak, you can put it in the Q&A section. I'm sure we'll take it at the end of the session. Palak, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that was a wonderful introduction. I think that was very well curated. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for this opportunity. I think the initiative that's being taken is wonderful. And the moment you mentioned IRE, I remembered how I thought about it. And I thought innovation, research, entrepreneurship, all three of them, they will be the future. So it's better for everyone to be involved in them, early on, to also make those mistakes excel in the field. So excited for this. Thank you, Gibbs, for the opportunity. And I will quickly get started. I can see so many people also writing questions already. So love an active audience. But today we will be talking about, I hope my screen is visible.
It's visible.
Perfect. So today we'll be talking about everything around social entrepreneurship. So hi, everyone. I'm Palak, and I've been a social entrepreneur for the past 2 years now, and I know all of you are young and you are possibly and hopefully aspiring entrepreneurs. So it's important to know how do you get started with it, and also what is the difference between an entrepreneur and a social entrepreneur, because I've realized so many people don't know that. So many people assume that social entrepreneurship is more on not making profit. A part of it is, but also it has a lot of different angles to it as well. Ultimately, it's about also working towards a social issue. So we'll be talking about that. Hopefully you learn a lot from it. At the very end, I've also included a segment on personal branding, and I'll tell you more about that because I realized that as an entrepreneur, that's also a very important part of how you get started. When you have a good personal brand, a lot of people want to know what you have started and how are you talking about social change. So we'll talk about that. I hope this is insightful. We'll take all the questions at the very end. So I'm not seeing the Q&A tab right now. I know so many people have already written something. We'll pick it up later. So I think the introduction was already given. I'm a 20-year-old. I also create content on LinkedIn. I will give you a backstory on my journey in the next few slides. So we'll skip that for now. But again, I have an organization called Break the Ice. What we're trying to do is break the ice about taboo topics. Ultimately, that's our aim. So mental health, gender equality, climate change, everything that society either ignores or shies away from conversations around, we pick them up, we talk about them with young people, and we create awareness around it. So everything else we'll skip for now. But yeah, I will wait on the slide for a couple of minutes. I will wait on the slide for a couple of minutes because why not break the ice? I know so many people have written in the Q&A something. So if you have anything important to add on, please do. Thank you so much. This is a very needed topic. I'm aware of that. So I know that we aren't able to chat normally in the online scenario, but what I want all of you to do is, why have I given it? Just, let's break the ice is the only thing on the tab right now, because I really want all of you to either start thinking about why you would want to be an entrepreneur, and specifically a social entrepreneur. That's our break the ice moment, to think and to pause to understand what do we do after we learn, right? We'll learn about social entrepreneurship today. We will learn about personal branding today, but what do I do after it? So what I'm really hoping is that all of you either make notes or, even phone notes work, whatever works for you. Just get started with a few ideas that you want to work on. It can be entrepreneurship. It can also be something which is a very innovative idea you want to pick up later on. Because again, we're all young. But I would say the sooner you start with something, you'll realize how well you are doing in it, or the ideas that you will have, they'll fit better in the world rather than the next 5 years. Because the gaps that are enough in 5 years, right? If you have an idea, please just think about it and move about it. And learn about social entrepreneurship. We'll be talking about skills that most successful social entrepreneurs have. Again, a lot of them have so many things in common. And we'll be diving into all the skills that are common in all of these entrepreneurs, not just social entrepreneurs. Pick it up later along with a very interesting pitch that I'll be helping you with. We'll keep that as a surprise till the very end of the session. So, like I mentioned, I will bore you for a minute or so about my journey. It's rather not very straightforward or dramatic, to say the least. I have been one of the biggest introverts throughout my life until class 11th. And that comes across as a surprise to so many people because now I'm speaking to a lot of audiences. But I've been the biggest introvert you would ever meet. I was the nerd who didn't really have any friends, didn't really have a social life. And I was someone who was only passionate about one thing, which was the environment. But I didn't raise my voice ever because I thought, as an introvert, you actually feel like a lot of people are judging you. So that was the thing that kept me, that fear of judgment kept me from sharing my opinions around anything practically. But I continued to stay an introvert until 11th. The pandemic happened and I overheard this conversation between my mom and my domestic help. She had her periods at our place. She was very uncomfortable asking for pads, and she has been with us for the past 5 years. And that's when I realized that we all, as educated people, we cannot push forward stigmas like menstruation, which are very normal, natural, and something due to which society even exists, right? And there were several other taboos like that I realized later on. So mental health, one of those. All of us as students, we face mental disturbances, if nothing. If not disorders, if not instability, disturbances. We all face it. The moment exams are coming up, we are all panicking, right? We have that anxiety. So, and it's human nature. So I realized that, and that's how I transitioned from an introvert to an entrepreneur to ultimately a speaker. And I started creating content, and I realized maybe this is more of my calling than just shying away from talking about things. So yeah, that's been the journey. Told you it's not very dramatic. It's a very, very random journey, honestly. But if you are an introvert and you feel like you can't be an entrepreneur, this is your segue to understanding, yes, you can be. It's about finding the right things for you and you'll start talking about them automatically. So even if you feel like maybe I'm not confident enough, maybe I'm very shy, it's okay once you know what you're passionate about and what you want to talk about. For example, it can be finances for you. If it's that, pick it up, pick what you want to build around it and experiment with it. What would happen? It will not do very well and you'll understand, okay, maybe this wasn't the thing for me. So that's the mindset shift that you will need to have. And I've moved on to the next slide because again, I want to dive right into how do you get started to being a social entrepreneur. Hope everyone in the audience is with me till now. Okay, yes. Okay, someone's already asked, what is social entrepreneurship? How is it different? A normal entrepreneur, a businessman, for example, would focus more on creating profits. Nothing wrong with it. That's how businesses work. But there is more focus on profit. When you are a social entrepreneur, you're focusing more on a social issue. So, for example, if you're passionate about maybe gender equality, that is a massive social issue, and you work on it through your company, you are a social entrepreneur. And again, so many people have myths and stigmas around this. Like I mentioned very initially, that social entrepreneurs don't make money. That's not the truth. It depends on the model you are choosing. And again, not making money, both of it is fine as long as you know what you want to do and you're very clear about it on paper and through your business models, right? So who's a social entrepreneur? A social entrepreneur is someone who tries to combine innovation. Like I said, IRE, all three of them are important. So innovation with sustainable solutions. We've all been listening about sustainability for I don't know how long. People are saying it's become a buzzword, but understand what it really means. It's about long-term solutions, not just a small gap that you'll fill for 1 month, 2 months, 1 year. You want the company to sustain for a longer run. So sustainable solutions for questions, for problems that are also long-term. So who's a social entrepreneur? They bring out innovative solutions based on a social issue where their major focus is not profit. You can earn money, but your major focus is solving that social issue, right? And again, since I've mentioned so many times, it's not just about not making money. Let me mention the various types of social entrepreneurs that exist, the various types of social enterprises that exist. You can make notes. It's all there on Google. You can experiment with what you also want to explore through your own companies whenever you open them. Number one, there are non-profits. That is something that my organization is, Break the Ice. In that, you don't make money. Even if you do make money, you will utilize it through your mission. So whatever your mission is, and we'll talk about vision and mission a little later. So many people have that question as well. What is vision? What is mission? What's the difference? We'll talk about that. But number one is the non-profit. Non-profit pay, they don't make too much money. Even if they make money through grants, through donations, they use it within their own process. You don't get money as a person or a founder, basically. The company gets money, the company uses the money through the process. So that's a non-profit for all of you. You can get a lot of grants, but of course, in terms of sustaining it for the long run, it is a difficult process. So if you choose to have an NPO, make sure you are very solid about the topic you are choosing, about the social issue you are working on, because you want it to be sustainable for the long run. Because even if it does very well for the first 3 years, and then you feel like the problem doesn't exist that much, how will you move forward, right? So think as a social entrepreneur who is looking to grow for the next 10 years and think about the topic accordingly. Number two is for profit. Again, opposite of non-profit, you make money, but you operate with a very clear social mission. So if we are working on gender equality and maybe we are selling products, right? Of course, I'm making profit out of it. Of course, my margins will be there for all the products. But at the end of the day, we are still working on a social mission for gender equality, right? So for everyone, I know I'm talking to the screens right now, but for everyone who's listening, make sure कि non-profit, for-profit में you know the difference, and you know कि what is something that you want to excel in or maybe explore, because again, they're very, very different. And if you're still thinking कि what is the social cause I want to work on, there are many. If you've heard of Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, just do a little bit of research about them. If I start, I will passionately take the entire session on it, but make sure that you choose an SDG as well. So SDGs are goals that we all as a global community want to achieve by 2030. We'll not be able to achieve them, sadly. But as social entrepreneurs, you all can get involved in it. So there is one SDG, I'm giving you a few examples. SDG 5 is gender equality. SDG 4 is quality education for all. So if you guys feel like education is the thing you want to work on, maybe helping those who do not get the right kind of education, that will come under SDG 4. And you will be a social entrepreneur depending, and of course, the social model depends on you, but you will be a social entrepreneur if you work on SDG 4. Okay. Another example would be climate change. Rapidly happening in the real world, climate action is SDG 30. So if you feel like you're passionate about any one of these, the best way to getting started with social entrepreneurship is knowing your why so that you can actually get started, because we have a lot of issues in the world and we all are very passionate about social entrepreneurship. That's why we're attending this session. But you also need to know, how do I get started? So number one is, what will I work on? What is my why, right? And why and what will I work on are closely linked, but still different. My why can be creating social impact, but what I work on can be taboos. So why and what do I want to work on are different things, and you will have to make a note of it even before you get started with it. Kyunki kya hoga, you will feel that I'll try to, navigate it later on. But later on, so many people will get involved, so many stakeholders, so many audience members will get involved that you'll not be able to do it. And anyways, that's not the right kind of strategy, because when you're getting started, you need to niche down so that the core audience of yours, for example, the first 100 people that will buy your product, buy your service, be a part of your community, they need to know your why. They need to know your why very clearly. Otherwise, they won't join in. That's a very clear fact, right? Itni sari companies, itne sari organizations, there's so many NGOs. Why do people choose one over the other? Because they relate to their mission. They relate to their why. So I hope that solves the question of who is a social entrepreneur. Again, innovation plus sustainable solutions plus more focus on impact rather than profits. That this is the page where you will understand the three core words: innovation, sustainable solutions, more focus on impact. That's exactly what a social entrepreneur does, whether non-profit, for-profit, cooperative, any model. That's ultimately what a social entrepreneur is working on. So yes, that is more of the theory part for all of you. Now I want all of you to understand, how do you get started. If you are a social entrepreneur, aspiring one, there are 3 P's you will have to focus on. And this is, now we're getting into the direct understanding of how do you get started with social entrepreneurship. 3 P's hai. If you search online, if you even brainstorm yourself, you might be able to add more, but these are the core P's. People, problem, plan. People, who is my audience, who is my community, who are people who I am helping out. तो 3 types of लोग भी होते हैं. People who will be a part of your team, people who will become a part of your community, and people who are actually benefiting from your organization. So P is people. P is also problem. So again, your vision and your mission has to be very clear ki what are we working on. Because for example, even if you go to a grant, right? Even if you approach a grant organization, they will number one ask, what's your mission and your vision? What are you working on? What is the problem you are solving? Because social entrepreneurship, a very important thing is the problem you are solving. People as well as everyone, every stakeholder needs to relate to your problem. Otherwise, they will not be interested. Baat wohi hai. If for us, it was taboo topics, it was quality education about taboo topics. That was our vision and our mission. That is our vision and our mission. And third is plan. That is what you all are doing right now by being a part of this entire webinar, understanding how do I get started and how do I plan my social entrepreneurship journey. Now, you won't be able to plan for the next 1 year. I also thought I could do that. I'm a overthinker, and I thought, why not plan every step? That will not work out. Everything, when you actually implement it, will change for good, for worse. You'll learn everything. But you need to have a plan for your initial phase. And why? And I know so many people are still asking so many questions. Yes, we'll be talking about LinkedIn very soon. Skills we'll be talking about. But coming back to, why do you need a plan for the first month? Because if you don't have a plan, you will procrastinate. Or if you feel like you are not finding the right people, you will quit. And if you know the stats, 50 to 60% of people quit before even starting with entrepreneurship. So very importantly, you need to have a plan for the first month. Plan mein sab kuch aayega. We will talk about it in the next few slides. Usme sab kuch aayega. Your why, your what, who am I talking to, who will be my community, who will be my team, how will I spread it forward, everything. Marketing is also very important. Personal branding, all of it comes in the plan. Okay, so the 3 P's would be people, problem, plan. Who am I catering to? Who will be a part of my team? Who will be a part of my community? What is the problem I am talking about? And what is the problem I'm trying to solve? And what is the plan for the next 1.5 months, so that we get started and we actually start building something? Because until you actually put your all into it, 1.5 months ke pehle kuch nahi hoga. There'll be very few people who will be talking to you, very few companies who will want to collaborate with you, very few partners, very few team members, everything. It's after 1.5 month that you'll get that momentum and you'll understand what is working for us and what is it, right? So hope this helps. These are the 3 P's. If you're just in the initial stage of planning, I want to be a social entrepreneur, these are the 3 P's you need to think about. This is the very core basic of getting started with social entrepreneurship. Okay? So these are the 3 P's. When we talk about, so like I said, we will be talking about the planning in depth. When you are thinking of planning for your organization, when you are just getting started as a social entrepreneur, you heard the term, you liked it, and you said, I also want to be a social entrepreneur. There are so many issues that I relate to. But what do I do next? That is when, and this is a plan I have created. You can take a screenshot. I don't mind. So this is the 5-step plan to getting started. As a young person, as someone who's just getting with social entrepreneurship, this is what you need to remember. Now, it's called item plus W. What is it talking about? I is ideate. Again, we were talking so much about ki kis cheez ke baare mein we want to, have the mission of the organization. That's ideation. And that will not happen overnight. Ek din you ideate and you feel, okay, I'm ready with an organization. Don't do that. That will not help you. Honestly, you will feel like you have already completed 1 step in the 5 steps, but you will later on realize that maybe I should have given more thought to it. So I is ideate. Think about as many ideas under the social taboo or the social issue that you relate to. Okay, write all the ideas. Maybe it's a product, maybe it's a service, maybe it's a community, maybe it's something related to what you want to talk about. Ideate. You will need some time for it. Give it a week and also research ki aisa kuch existing to nahi hai. And again, even if there are existing companies, you can still have one. I have had so many people ask me ki, what if we have existing companies? Swiggy and Zomato, if they would have thought that, neither of them would have existed. There are competitions in the market. You need to know what is your USP, which is your unique selling point. What is slightly different about you, so that other people can also be a part of your mission. And social organizations mein bahut baar hoga that you will align with a lot of organizations, because again, social issues, the most common ones are common, right? Because you're working for the community. But you need to know USP kya hai. Chota sa USP bhi hoga, so it will work out very well for your organization. So number 1 is ideate. The first step to planning is ideation. The second one is T, which is called target persona. Ultimately, it's target audience. I've put it very fancy in fancy words, but your target audience is people who will come to you very initially, even if they see that your organization is very small. So what I mean by that is that they'll be your first supporters, they'll be your last supporters, they'll be people who will stick around with you and your organization. That is your target persona. If, for example, you are bringing out your first product in the market, you know that reach बहुत limited hai. You have only marketed your company online, and reach is, let's for example take a very small number, maybe 500 people, and online reach 500 is very less, right? Because even if you convert 1% of those people, that's practically very few people. Who's your target audience? The 1% of people who will get converted. That is your target audience, the people who will buy your first product, your last product, who will ask you when are the new products coming, if you are a product-based social entrepreneur. And they'll be the people who will say कि irrespective of आपने अभी start किया है, आपकी community छोटी है, आपके prices ज़्यादा है, we'll support you because I like your mission. ठीक है, that's your target persona. It's very difficult to find them. I will agree with that. But it's important that you have a very small group of target persona. At least you have it in your mind कि maybe अगर मैंने ये product launch करा, I know कि young people 18 to 23, people who are maybe still in college and who want affordable things will come to me. All the things I just defined, that's your target persona. Again, you will not have a name or a face in your mind. You will have factors. Age, maybe the area, the demographic that they live in, everything like that, so that you can market it better. And market is also one of the 5 steps of the plan, which is the M. And E is again experiment. अगर even if you have a target persona in your mind, you will have to experiment to know कि who are the other people जो शायद मेरे target persona में नहीं है, who will still be interested in my mission. Because if you only stick to your target persona, you will not be able to expand, right? So you'll have to experiment. So E is experiment, M is marketing. Marketing is extremely important. So many people ignore it. So many people also don't experiment with it. Marketing online, offline, both is important. And marketing ke andar hi personal branding also comes, because essentially personal branding is also marketing for yourself as an entrepreneur. So aapki company, product, service, community ki marketing one side, your organization's marketing on one side, and your marketing on the other side. So that's very important. So marketing has two aspects to it. We'll cover it later. I know so many people are asking about it directly in the Q&A. When are we diving to LinkedIn and personal branding? We will get to that. W is your why. I've put it at the end because essentially you can't start before you have a why. My why was, when I overheard that conversation, I realized we need to do something. That was my why. That can be your motivation. Your why can be anything around the social issue you are talking about. Why do I want to be a social entrepreneur? Why do I want to put so much effort into building a company, working with other people, marketing, ideating, building a target persona, experimenting? Why? Right? So even if you are not, and again, my next slide is that where are you in that? How many steps are you at in terms of these 5 steps? So you can take a screenshot, think about it aram se. Maybe some of you are at the I stage, maybe some of you are at the M stage, maybe at the final stage. Maybe all of you are already existing entrepreneurs. That's great. But for those who aren't, try item plus W when you're getting started. And of course, align it with the 3 Ps. That's how you get started with being a social entrepreneur. Because once you have the determination that you want to be one, how do you navigate the next 5 steps? You ideate, you understand your target persona, you experiment, you build your marketing strategy, and you know your why very well. And इसमें मैंने product, service, community नहीं डाला है, because if you're hoping to be a social entrepreneur, so technically you will have something in mind. Let's say for me, it was, I want to build a community, right? So you will have that in mind. Ki maybe I want to be someone who brings the product forward for the social issue. So you will have that in mind. What you need is these 5 steps to get started. Okay? Think about it. How many steps are you are at? You can write it in the Q&A, while we can also take it up later on when we pick up the Q&A. So now we're moving on to the next part, which is, once I have planned on being a social entrepreneur, what are the skills I should develop? So everything that we have talked about right now, all the skills that I just mentioned, the 3 Ps, the understanding, the impact, everything, they are things all of us know, right? We know we need to be innovative. We need to have an impact focused approach. Again, if you are trying to be a social entrepreneur, impact has to be there. Otherwise, the people who you're catering to, they will realize कि इनका impact driven नहीं है, and they will not relate to you. So number 1, of course, the essential skill is to be innovative with an impact focused approach, to know your social issue very well and your people very well. People, again, like I mentioned in the previous slides, people comprises of a lot of people. Your community, your team members, and people who you will be helping. So your beneficiaries. Once you know that, that's your essential skill ki itna to mujhe basic pata hona chahiye, right? Your second essential skill would be ki vision kya hai and business acumen hona chahiye. Because even if you're a social entrepreneur, even if you're not trying to make profit out of it, to run a business, you need to have the essential skill of knowing what are the basics of business, right? Even if you're a social entrepreneur. And now that I've mentioned and we've come to the slide, I'll also mention the difference between vision and mission for so many people who ask. So vision is long-term. That is, what do I want my company to achieve maybe in the next 20 years? What is my ultimate goal with this organization? That's your vision. What is your mission? Mission is more recent, it's more current, it's more short-term, and it's more measurable. So, for example, my vision is to create a safe space for students, and my mission is to provide it at affordable cost in 10 countries. You understand? It's very measurable. It has numbers and it's very short term. I know 10 countries, I gave a very big example, but what I mean to say is you can measure how much you achieved your mission to ultimately know कि vision तक हम कहाँ पहुंचे. And you cannot a lot of times you're not able to make changes to your vision because that was your ultimate goal through the organization, but you can always make changes to your mission. Mission may edits, updates, additions, everything can happen because missions are more short run. And you might feel that we're talking about this issue, why not add this as well? That will be added to your mission because it's more achievable and it's more current. You can measure it. Okay, we had thought we'll reach out to 10 people, we were able to reach out to 8. We are successful, right? So something like that. Again, essential skills will always include adaptability. You don't know what can go wrong, what can go right, what can go extremely out of your plan. So adapting to social issues as well as adapting to how your business is working, as well as researching very well. When I started out with Break the Ice, I knew nothing about taboos. It was just that one moment that I thought I'm passionate about it. Let's talk about these things. When I actually went to research, I realized कि नहीं यार, बहुत सारे topics हैं which we can cover. Maybe I need to do more research in terms of data. And that's when I actually started researching. So before you even get started, once you know your 5 things, item plus W, then you have to research. It might be that you're able to learn more, like it happened with me. I thought I'll only talk about menstruation. It wasn't taboos at that time. It was when I researched that I realized, oh my God, mental health, oh my God, gender equality. Why not include all of it and talk about it under a umbrella term, which is taboos? So you'll have to research. And of course, I've included networking because I'm a very passionate networker through LinkedIn, through offline networking. I think that's also very important because as an entrepreneur, your business and your idea might be amazing. But if it never reaches the network, then what is the point? Right? And all of us as individuals, we have a very limited network. It is only when we actually reach out to more people, maybe online, maybe offline, that we actually learn about more people and we build our networks, like indirect networks, if you know what I mean. I think everybody knows indirect networks. So directly, we might know only 10% of people face to face, but it is through our networks that we know a whole lot of new people. And I've put a question mark because this is the personal branding bit. Because again, you might be very innovative, you might have a business acumen, you might have the researching skills and networking as an entrepreneur, but unless you have a personal brand, and this is for social entrepreneurs and for other entrepreneurs as well, you need to have a personal brand. Now, this is almost the last segment because I know I had a long PPT and I wanted to take up questions as well. So many people would say, what is personal branding? Agar you've heard of it, you would feel kitna overused word hai. So let me break it down for you. Personal branding is number 1, what people say about you when you're not in the room. Sounds very philosophical, but ultimately imagine that you are, sir, I'm going to take you as an example. Imagine Sandeep sir was invited to, a networking event. He's a social entrepreneur and he hasn't reached the event, but a few people in that room know him and the others don't. People are just reading, attendee list mein who hasn't come, and someone says that Mr. Sandeep hasn't. What would the people who know him say about him to the people who don't? How do other people talk about you or introduce you to other people? I hope that makes sense to everyone. That is your personal brand. And you have to be very conscious with what you want to build as your personal brand. It can be a social entrepreneur. So for example, if I'm not in a room, I would love if people say she's a social entrepreneur and she's a LinkedIn content creator. I would love if people say that. That is something I'm building my personal brand on. And you need to define your personal brand as well to be a successful social entrepreneur. Because again, people might not know your company. They might know you as a person and they might then explore your company. So for you have to make sure that personal brand be itna acha ho that people, if they know you, they're like, uski ek organization hai that's doing wonderful. I also want to be involved in it. A lot of people will relate to your mission through your personal brand. So that's very important. And again, if all of you have understood what that means, I will then, 1 second, I'll also take a few questions. I see so many. How do you measure social impact? See, it depends on your KPIs. If you are starting a social venture, you need to have 2 to 3 KPIs. What am I measuring my impact on is a very good question, and every entrepreneur does that. So for us, it was the amount of people we're able to reach and the amount of feedbacks we're able to get after our sessions, right? So you have to set your KPI very well. Social entrepreneurship may be similar hota hai, not very different from normal entrepreneurs. Why? Because I need to know how well we are doing, right? We need to measure our impact so that we can improve it. We'll take next questions later. I just pick up one or two because also want all of you to be engaged. So coming back to personal branding, very importantly, I hope everyone's understood what is a personal brand. How do you build one? Know your why, know your USP, find your people, everything we have talked about previously. But just so that all of you know, it is very simple. To get started, at least, of course, you'll take time to grow, but it's simple to get started with personal branding. And when you're doing it offline, it's slightly difficult because, of course, it's very difficult to connect with people who are living maybe in different countries. But online, it has become a little easier. Now, wherever you're reaching out to people as a social entrepreneur, maybe pitching, this is what I do. You can reach out to people in a lot of different ways. Maybe I've reached out to some people to be my mentors. Because as a social entrepreneur, you would also love if you can get the right mentors, right? You can also reach out to people so that they become a part of your team. You can be a part, you can reach out to people to partner with their organizations, everything. As a social entrepreneur, you're kind of managing everything: partnerships, mentors, maybe investors, maybe stakeholders, maybe community, everything. And for that, you need something called the elevator pitch. This is the entire last segment. And I hope that all of you at least learn this when you go back. So I'll tell you what an elevator pitch is, and I'll also tell you how do you reach out to people and how is this linked to social entrepreneurship in every way. I've reached out to so many mentors through my elevator pitches because I've told them, Ki, hi, I'm working on this and I would love to connect with you to learn more on how you can help me in my journey. And believe me, so many people want to help. All of us, we are just scared because we are afraid again of judgment or of failure or of rejection. But online specifically, so many people are happy to help. Yes, tell me what you want. And it's all pro bono, it's free of cost. You just have to reach out in the right way. And you can do that through elevator pitches. Again, you can implement this offline also, so not restricting it to online. For people who don't know the term elevator pitch, kya hota hai? Imagine you're in an elevator. Okay? You have met your dream mentor or your CEO in an elevator. And you know that you only have 30 seconds because they are very busy and they will leave at the next floor. What would you say to them in terms of your introduction that will help you get a second chance to talk to them? And this is what dream CEO mentors are, not people who you might be able to connect with LinkedIn, not anyone who is approachable easily. There are people who are very accomplished. Okay, so imagine your dream CEO, you just entered the elevator and you're like, oh my God, this person is in the elevator with me. How do you introduce yourself? And how do you want to collaborate with them in the future in those 30 seconds so that you get a response? And you can easily implement this in the online way also, because again, all of us, we have zero attention span and we don't have time. So if you're reaching out to someone who is very accomplished, what would you say? Jiska read time sirf 30 seconds hoga so that they reply to you. That is your elevator pitch. Hope that makes sense, and hope that's also intriguing, because when I learned first about it, it was very fancy for me because I thought I've never tried this out before. How do you reach out to people online and offline? Number one, you tell them how you found them or the association. So it might be, for example, you reach out to me after this entire webinar and you say, I heard the webinar today and that's why I'm reaching out to you. That's the association. You're building that I'm not someone who is randomly reaching out to you, but because I found you somewhere. So, for example, you end up in an elevator with your dream CEO, you say, I saw you in the elevator today. And I hope you don't write that, but that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. Ek association build karo. If you feel koi association nahi hai, tell them why you are reaching out to them or how you found them. So maybe I came across your LinkedIn profile and I realized that it's very inspiring. How did you find their profile, right? That is very important to know. This is not some random person who is reaching out, but someone who has actually seen me or my profile to reach out to me. Number two is your introduction. Two-liner, keep it very concise. Make an introduction, a very conscious introduction. Maybe that I'm a social entrepreneur running an organization called this that works on this. And why into two? Why are you reaching out to them? And why are you only reaching out to them? There are two different things. That's why I always say why into two. Why am I reaching out to you? Maybe because I want to collaborate with you. But why am I only reaching out to you? Because I know you are an expert in the field. And number three is CTA. If anyone in the audience knows what a CTA is, I really hope you do. It's called call to action. What will someone do after they read your message or your offline speech to connect with you later if they like what you do? or essentially if they like your elevator pitch. CT is that. So it can be that if you are interested and if you would want to give me your time, I would love to get your email to set up a meeting with you. That's the CT. Telling the person कि मैं दूसरी side से तुम्हें क्या action लेना है if you agree with giving me that time of yours. So yeah, that's how you get started with entrepreneurship. That's, I think, practically my last slide. Yes. So we learned everything about how you get started, how do you plan it, and how do you also build your personal brand and you reach out to the right people to sustain as a social entrepreneur. So yes, I hope that helps. Again, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Gibbs. And thank you for this wonderful initiative. We will pick up a few questions now, but yeah, my monologue ends here.
Great. Thank you so much, Palak. I would say there are a lot of things which I was, as you said, at the association, I was able to connect you with a lot of things which you shared with us. As you said, you should always ask for it, right? People hesitate to ask anything, they kind of any kind of help, or probably it's online or offline, they hesitate to do it. So there's a one nice saying which in English which is only crying baby gets the milk, right? So even mother doesn't feel until unless if doesn't the baby doesn't ask for it.
True.
So I must say that there were a lot of takeaways. I don't know, but I have jotted down a lot of them for my takeaways, I would say. But let's take up the questions what are available at this point of time.
Definitely.
So first question has been asked by I think SYF Sheikh is asking, what skills are the best for becoming an entrepreneur?
I think we answered that. I hope that was answered. Yes.
And you were mentioning about SDGs. So as for all the people who are unaware what SDGs are, there are total number of 17 SDGs are there. Depending on your interest, you can pick one of them if you want to be a social entrepreneur. Where I would say it's purely based on your interest, where your interest lies.
Yes.
Are you looking towards the education? Are you looking, as Palak said, about gender equality? Are you looking about a lot of other topics? There are 17. These are international SDGs, I would say. These are not national, or these are very, very predefined SDGs which are available on Google. If you just put it as SDGs, I'm sure you will get a lot of content on that, right? If you are looking forward to become a social entrepreneur, you can surely look for which one is your point which you would love to know for. Again, Sheikh asked one more question, ma'am, which is the upcoming skill that helps us in the future?
Again, I think covered it a bit, but make sure you explore innovation. Also, make sure you explore entrepreneurship. I think that is the upcoming skill, not just occupation, but also skill, because I think it's a skill in itself to be a successful entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sheikh. I'm sure it will be helpful for you. So moving ahead with the next question, it has been asked by Abraham Siddiqui. How can I identify social problem or issue that I'm passionate about, want to address through entrepreneurship? I think just now I have told about SDG 17. I think that can be one of the where you can identify what are the social issues. Your thoughts on that, Palak?
Absolutely. I think number one, absolutely SDGs. I think it just helps you to get started. It's a great framework to know where is the society, failing, or where are the gaps. So number one, that, and number two, I think he answered it himself. He mentioned somewhere passionate about. Know your passion. And I know a lot of people say that it's like an existential moment crisis, that I don't know what I'm passionate about. I think about it a little deeper. There will be one or two social issues that you are openly talking about. Even if you aren't passionate about, pick those up and try to link it to how you can convert it into an organization.
Great. Thank you so much for that. We'll have next question by Meera Joshi. What are the primary challenges and obstacles faced by social entrepreneurs, and what you need to be careful about that, ma'am?
Wow. Depends on what kind of topic you're talking about. So I'll take my personal example, only really know too much about it. For taboos, I think a massive thing was the mindset. That is a major challenge for us because these topics are taboo because people are uncomfortable talking about. So how do I overcome that obstacle? Number two, if again, all of us, we are young, so age will also be a challenge because so many times people will feel like you don't have the right experience. And again, you can overcome it very easily, but yes, it will be a prominent challenge because there will be difficulty finding the right people. There'll be difficulties in just getting started. But I think it's a easy challenge to overcome and you'll be able to.
Absolutely. As you rightly mentioned, when you said about item plus W, when they say, when your why is clear, how becomes easier.
Absolutely.
Just identify your why and your how will become very, very easy. You can proceed it from there. So moving ahead, there's one question asked by Pragya. She is asking, what are the development strategy, ma'am, What is your development strategy, ma'am? Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to answer development strategy in terms of what I understand from it. But in terms of development strategy, it's more for us, it's more about how are we developing the organization to cater to more taboos. So, so we try to link it in that sense, actually, for the organization to be more relevant in terms of the taboos we're talking about. Because again, it's a social organization, we are working on impact. So, yeah, so I'll give you an example in extension to this. We expanded to 10 countries very recently in the last 2 months. And that's when we realized we really need to develop the way that we talk about taboos, because the cultural taboos are so different. What is a taboo in India is not a taboo in some other continent, right? Mm-hmm. So for that, in terms of that, I think our development strategy has been just understanding how do we talk about every taboo, making sure it's sensitive but also inclusive. So yeah, that's ours. But again, it depends on what you're working on to further, crispen that strategy, if that makes sense. You'll have to really, really narrow down on the strategy you're working.
Absolutely right. I would say your funnel, when you speak about your funnel, should be very, very narrow, deep down.
Yes.
Right? Once your funnel is very narrow and deep down, and I think you are on a specific point where you have to go forward for.
Yes, yes.
Right? So moving ahead with the next question is been asked by Joe Martin. Ma'am, my question is what are some strategies for scaling up a social enterprise and expanding its impact?
Okay, so when you're scaling your social enterprise, number one, know what are the areas you want to expand to. And it will not be very clear. You'll need some time for it, but it's good that you're looking to scale. I think when you're looking to scale, that means that you're doing well, or you're understanding, your audience is understanding your mission well, that you're looking to expand. So if you are expanding, know what are the pillars I want to expand to. Is it that I'm continuing in the same space, maybe just more people? Or is it that I'm diversifying? So when you're since you said expanding your impact, I think that would mean more of diversifying the impact. Because if I'm working on maybe again, if I'm working on one taboo, I feel like that's doing well and I want to talk about more taboos. That's expanding my impact as well as scaling my social organization. So I think, yeah, that helps. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you so much for that. So how can innovation profiling be used to identify potential career paths or business opportunities?
Okay. So number one, you will have to, get involved in innovation profiling. That's a very, very specific process to know what are the innovative ideas I have and how can I link it to things I'm passionate about. So, and that can ultimately help you in your career paths as well as in business. I think once you know what are things I want to work on and bring more innovative solutions forward towards, I think that's how you navigate career paths. So again, it comes down to what am I passionate about. Every process of innovation as well as research comes down to what am I passionate about. So passionate about that I want to be more innovative towards it. I think so. Yeah, if you know that very basic, I think then the next steps are easy.
Absolutely right. Thank you so much, Palak. I would say you've been such generous and you've been answering in such a simpler terms. I'm sure a lot of takeaways there are there for the people, for all our attendees. Thank you so much for such insightful session what you've shared with us.
Thank you.
And I was able to connect in a lot of context as I would say one of the best speakers we had today, because you were also able to connect with innovation, research, and entrepreneurship. And that's the basic motto of IRE when we speak about. So your entire talk was on entrepreneurship and the way you expressed it, when you say social entrepreneurship and when you say just an entrepreneurship. So that the way you explained it is really amazing. I would say thank you so much for that. So it's I would love to give you on a formal note. I would extend my gratitude to you for taking out time, and I would say I'm sure people, if you are unaware, Ms. Palak is from Delhi basically, and when we speak about people on LinkedIn about Palak, I would say she is known figure in the LinkedIn platform, I would say. And she made one point very, very clear that you have to be very specific. She never mentioned that she should be called about like social media influencer. She was very specific when she said that I'm with the LinkedIn only, right? So that's really clarity. I would say that's amazing clarity you have towards that.
Thank you.
Congratulations for spreading your wings in 10 different countries. We are looking forward that you grow even more wider aspects of it, I would say. Right? Thank you so much, Palak, for being with us, and you are truly commendable. And we are really grateful that you have provided a lot of insights on today's topic. And one formal note, I would love to thank all the participants who have joined with us today, and kindly note your certificate should be shared within the next 2 working days on your registered email ID. This webinar will also be put on GID's official GID's official channel under the IRE Talks. So in case, as Ms. Palak said, that in case if you have missed out on anything, you can go back to the webinar, you can recheck, jot down your points. If you haven't understand anything, you can always reach Ms. Palak. I'm sure she's
Absolutely.
quite active on LinkedIn. You can just reach her on LinkedIn. So we would love to see you again on that. So thank you so much, Ms. Palak, and I would love to invite you to Bangalore in case any day you're there in Bangalore. We would love to host you at the IBS.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. And again, thank you for the wonderful initiative that all of you have taken. I was very, very happy to see IRE. You know, when I read the full form, I was like, this is amazing. So thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who joined in. Amazing audience. Glad to be a part. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day ahead. Please take care of yourself. Thank you.